over 700 years worth of knowledge in this room. Experience. We've all gone through different things. We've all had different problems in our lives. We've all had different situations in our lives, faced hurdles in our lives, each one different. But rather than letting somebody go through that alone, if you've had that experience, why not be able to go to somebody and say, this is what I did? Whether they hear you or not, it's up to them. But you might be that one saving grace. You might be that person God wanted to go to them. Don't pass up, what do they call them? Divine appointments. Don't pass them up. You may have been put in a place for a reason. So what is friendship? Closer than a brother? Why does friendship matter? Anyone? Things are happening at an accelerated rate. It seems like one thing is taken care of and another thing pops up. Not only are we facing these challenges at work and at home, but we're being bombarded with them through social media, TV, and our phones. That alert message that comes in from wherever you signed up for that email or that text, telling you that the world's coming to an end, or President Biden just spent $2 billion, or whatever the case may be. I kind of wondered, as a kid, I remember not having phones and all that electronics. I think life was better off. We didn't have so many cares. Were they out there? I'm sure, but we didn't allow them to affect us. Love can mean a lot more. Sorry. Habit. Love can mean a lot more than the Hollywood ideal of smooching and schmoozing. This is commonly known as eros. In the academic philosophical discussions, according to the Greek words found in the Bible, there are other types of love. Two important ones for our understanding are agape, unconditional love, and philia. Philia is sometimes called brotherly love. It is what characterizes friendships. It is a strong bond between people, a genuine care and concern that unites people with passion and respect. Friendship is a gift from God, and one that can be embraced. These are hard because I'm going to tell you how many people actually have agape love. If that were true whenever our children or anybody else caused us strife or a problem, we would wipe it off just like the water off the duck's back. Because love would overrule, would override. And I am very much preaching to myself here today. God has shown me that I have let a lot of things get in front of Him and the love He wants me to show to my brothers and sisters in the Lord. You see, not all parents are going to, or not all people are going to be parents or have a significant partner, but everyone can be a friend. Proverbs 18, I'd like to read you guys. I had two different versions, but I'm going to read this one here. I believe this is the NIV. I forgot to write down which version it was, I'm sorry. An unfriendly person pursues selfish ends, and against all sound judgment starts quarrels. Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. When wickedness comes, so does contempt, and with shame comes reproach. The words of the mouth are deep waters, but the fountain of wisdom is rushing stream. It is not good to be partial to the wicked and so deprive the innocent of justice. The lips of fools bring them strife, and their mouths invite beating. The mouths of fools are their undoing, and their lips are a snare to their very lives. The words of gossip are like choice morsels. They go down to the innermost parts. One who is slack in his work is brother to no one, or to one who destroys. The name of the Lord is a fortified tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. The wealth of the rich is their fortified city. They imagine it to wail, imagine it a wall too high to scale. Before a downfall, the heart is haughty, but humanity comes before honor. To answer before listening, that is folly and shame. The human spirit can endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it out. A gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. In a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. Casting the lot settles dispute and keeps strong opponents apart. A brother wronged is more unyielding than a fortified city. Disputes are like the barred gates of a citadel. From the fruit of their mouth a person's stomach is filled. With the harvest of the lips they are satisfied. The tongue has the power of life and death. Stop for a second here. The tongue has the power of life and death. We can speak life, or we can speak death. What do you choose? And those who love it will eat its fruit. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. The poor plead for mercy, but the rich answer harshly. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And that friend is speaking of God, the Lord. Loyalty, trust, perseverance, care, mercy. Do we show those? Do we show those? Or just on Sunday? Through thick and thin, we're going to examine the friendship of David and Jonathan. So what does a friend look like? I don't know. You guys tell me. What does a friend look like? Someone there? Someone there when you can't be? Someone to hold your arms up? Well, we remember that in the Bible, don't we? I question each of you, are you there when you're needed? Or do you let life, as I have let life, sometimes get in the way? We all can say we're here, but are you? When it comes down to it, when the doors are open and your brother's hurt, are you here to help him? Well, there are plenty of different types of manifestations of quality friendships. A good friendship is not something to take lightly, is it? And the relationship requires effort and sacrifice on both parts, both sides. Effort and sacrifice. You see, it's not always about me, what I want. Sometimes I have to give in. Because honestly, I don't like cleaning toilets. On any mean at all. We are created to live in a relationship with one another, though. We need to remember that. For we are all the part of one body. And God has provided a tremendous blessing with the gift of friendship. David and Jonathan are a good example. In 1 Samuel 18, 1 through 4, we see that David and Jonathan form a sacred bond with one another. I'm not going to read each of the verses. I think Lynn's posted them, yes, she is. But we see that they created a sacred bond. And what does that look like? It is when you think of your friend or as family. And that's each one of us should be feeling about each other. We shouldn't be just acquaintances on Sunday or at meetings. We should be family. Because you know what happens when you get big families? You see, I heard something yesterday, Thursday, at Liz's funeral. How well she took in people. She treated everybody as they were her children. When they were in need, she met that need. That's the definition, folks. That person that you take in or that you love on may not be the one that you think they should be. Well, they should be, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. I'm not there to correct them. I'm there to love them. See, when you love somebody, you can get through better than when you correct them. If you're just going to be there yelling at them, they're going to click, turn you off. But if you love them first, and you share with them your life, you're going to get through. You're going to break through a wall. 1 Samuel 19, 1 through 7. Jonathan talked Saul out of killing David. And I think you need to understand a principle here. What was the significance of Jonathan's position? Do you understand that he was going to be the king? He was the next line. He was the heir. But he stepped aside and raised his friend David. That is sacrifice. He recognized something in David he didn't have. So of course he talked his father out of killing him. 1 Samuel 21 through 17. Escaping the plague. The plan is formed. He helped him escape. When David was under siege to be killed, Jonathan helped him escape. Again, this is the future king stepping back and saying, no, you're going to be king. And putting somebody else forward. Putting somebody ahead of himself. Friendship. You see, true friendship. Not verbal friendship. Not just talking the words. but putting someone before himself. Ooh, that comes up in another story, doesn't it? I wonder where that came from. Who else put themselves before, or put us before himself? Gotta wonder that. 1 Samuel 20:18 through 42. Arrows in the field, saving David's life in a banishment code. You see, Jonathan said to David, "You're my brother. I love you." And I think one of the things that drives me insane is today, and we all have heard this and know this, well, they were gay. I've heard that statement being made about them. But here's the thing. That was furthest from the truth, wasn't it? What it was the true love, a friendship, a bond, that they both would put each other first. I don't see that a lot today. God has really been pushing my heart because I haven't lived that today. I'm not preaching to you. I'm not condemning you. I'm not pointing things out. I'm telling you I lived this. And then God said to me, you know what, I want you to talk about this. This isn't a lecture. This isn't preaching. This is us discussing. Because I think in the church we need to remember, friends are what it's about. When we get this, we have the love of friendship within this church so strong that we love on each other as David and Jonathan loved on each other. Other people are going to want that. They're going to want to be part of it. Then when you love on them and you let them know that they're loved, then you can speak God into their lives. You see, the world's lost. It's telling all kinds of lies. Especially today, you know, there are what now? I think I remember reading somewhere 19 different sexual identifications. Really? Last time I looked, there was only two. But they're being lied to. The kids of today are being lied to. You have all the power. You make your destiny. You do what you want. It's all up to you. Really? Because if I went by that when I was a kid, I would have gotten nowhere. Because I'm from a family, parents both worked in a factory. I had no money. I lived in a projects. So if I went by that philosophy, and I didn't let God enter my life and let God direct my life, I'd still be, who knows where I'd be a gangbanger, or I'd probably be dead. Truth be told. But I had an aunt who decided that the love she had for me was that of the love of Jonathan and David. And she brought us to church. And she told us of God. And she made sure that I knew of God. And she got me in the programs that would bring friendship in my life. Royal Rangers. I went from a buckaroo, for those that are old enough to remember what the buckaroos were, to a district commander. So I made it all the way to health and safety officer for the district, Southern New England District. We got to acknowledge the sovereignty of God, the loyalty and firm allegiance of God. You get that? God is loyal to us. His word says it. Anyone here want to let their son die? Send him to his death knowing? You know what's going to happen. You see, he knew long before he did it what was going to happen. He knew what they were going to do to him. Yet he did it for you and me. That was his sacrifice. He sacrificed his son. How does he support us? Again, like I said in the beginning, He has placed me in this body because I have an ability for certain things that maybe somebody doesn't. But I don't have the ability Pastor Keith does. I don't have the ability John does. Miss Marilyn, Mary Jo. We're all different. We all bring something to the body. But most of all, we bring each other. We bring friendship. We bring love. And it's time this church showed that love, isn't it not? We have children out there that are dying, my friends. Dying. Because the world's telling them, well, you have problems? We can help you with that. Take this. Look at what our state just did. It legalized marijuana. Do you know marijuana is a gateway drug? Because after a while, it just doesn't seem like it's enough. So let me try the next step. And that's how people get hooked. And I want to fair warn everybody here, because you're going to probably see it. There's a new substance out, and we believe it to be another synthetic drug. We've had 4 people come into the emergency room at Governor in critical condition. And all their drug testing came back negative. So it's something that isn't being identified yet. But you see what the world does? You see Satan makes little doors. And he puts little thoughts in these kids' minds. And if they don't have mentors, people like you and me, talking to them, reaching out to them, letting them know that they're loved and they don't need what the world tells them they need. Amazingly today, it even happens with kids working. Try to get a kid with work ethic today. I want to make $27 an hour starting out. And they have zero experience. I started out at $9 an hour. $9.65 at Lewis County. Can you imagine that? With a college degree, $9.65. But I've worked my way up, thank God. It amazes me that we don't, as Christians, have a stronger relationship. We go our own separate ways after church. How many people receive calls during the week from each other? And you don't have to call somebody because church needs cleaning, the meal's going to be canceled, there's a prayer. We can call each other and say, how are you doing? And listen, like I said, I am preaching to the choir. This past week, God, Ken, how long ago? About 2 weeks now? You were hospitalized? That's when God started hitting me. Keith had, what happened with Liz, and then I'm like, I've never talked to either one of them. I mean, I talked to Keith occasionally, text him, but it was getting down to where we were talking Sunday, maybe a text in the middle of the week. That's wrong. Look at the empty seats. How many people have texted or called or talked to the persons that aren't here? When you don't see somebody here, you call them up and say, hey, I missed you in church on Sunday. Guilty as charged. Gotta make sure where I am. Getting really late. Sorry. I may go a little over. I hope you guys don't mind. In the first passage of Daniel, we see four friends. Can everybody remember their names? And Daniel. Don't forget Daniel. They've been taken into captivity, forced to work in a foreign government. What's the key element to note here? What was the key element in that whole thing? They remained loyal to God, did they not? To each other and to God. When adversity comes, what's the first thing you do? The friends are tested and refuse to yield to the ways of the king. Did they not? King, we're not going to eat that. Solidarity. They were allowed to encourage each other. You see, because until you've been there, when you're trying to be forced to eat something, when you're doing it alone, whatever it is, you're being compelled to do something. If you're alone, how hard is that? Wicked hard. But when you have a brother, sisters, standing with you, doesn't it become lighter? Because you're able to support each other, we're able to lift each other up. We're able to say, I'm here. Friendship helped these friends, or the friendship helped these friends remain dedicated to the most important tenet in their lives. In Mark, we see four friends who had tremendous faith, which was used to help a friend was not. Not only did they make an effort to bring their paralyzed comrade to Jesus, they went so far as to carry him to the roof, cut a hole, and drop him down. I don't know about you, but if somebody comes to my house and starts cutting holes in my roof, I might be a little upset. But you see, they did not waver. They wanted their friend to be healed. They didn't care the consequence. They wanted their friend healed. And they knew who could do it. They were ready to take on the consequences for their actions to save their friend. I'm sure they weren't friends with the homeowner. They probably knocked on the door if they were friends. They were going to cut a hole in your roof. But Jesus rewarded them, did he not? Commended their faith, and he healed their friend and promised forgiveness of their sins. Later in the chapter, Jesus is criticized for his practice of table fellowship as he joined sinners in their homes. You see, this is a big deal in the time Christ lived. You didn't go to the unclean. But he didn't let it dissuade him, did he not? He visited those homes. This reminds us that friendship is not, or should not, at least be based on popularity or potential personal gain. If you're going to the pastor's house because he's the pastor, he's the only one you're going to see you're wrong. How about when your neighbor goes through a crisis, you bring him a meal? You let him know you're there? My next door neighbor, who I don't actually even know really the names, try to remember it, I'm horrid at names, horrible. But this winter, they did not get their driveway cleared out. They couldn't get their driveway cleared out. He was out there one day with a shovel, and I went over, I said, listen, I can clear this out for you. Of course, I just wanted you to know an antidote. Satan's going to try to stop you, because when I went to do it, my tractor broke. It broke down, so I couldn't help him. But I wouldn't let that defeat me. I would not let Satan win. So you know what I did? I called up White's. I said, come get the tractor, fix it, please. As soon as I got it back, I went over to that guy's house and I cleaned out his driveway. I won't let the enemy win. But you know what? Whether or not that person is thankful or not thankful, it starts something. It opens a door. It starts communication. You got to communicate in order to have friends, right? Because if we don't know we're having problems, if I don't know John's sick, in the hospital, or whatever, how can I ever be a friend? One of the things I've noticed in our section, as well as in the church, is the lack of communication. As you guys found out earlier, I was told it was 4 o'clock, and then these guys were told it was 7 o'clock. That is something I will address at the next meeting. But folks, if we don't talk to each other, if we don't tell each other we're having difficulties, how can we help each other? People stop coming to church and leave churches for that very reason. Because nobody helps, nobody talks to them. We larger churches, thank God it has seen it. I have not seen it in this church. I've seen it in larger churches where cliques form. You have different groups of people, but they don't associate with each other. That's wrong. That's wrong. Where are the youth in this church? Are we talking to them? Or what are we letting them know there's more to life than what the world has to offer? If you don't think there's a problem, all you got to do is pick up a newspaper or watch the news. Kids today are dying at an alarmingly high rate. They're getting addicted to drugs. They're doing Tide Pod challenges. We're eating Tide Pods. They're doing things because they want to be accepted. And that's what the world tells them how they can be accepted. We need to change that. We're going to accept you for you, just the way you are. I'm not out to change you. God will do that. I don't need to change you. God will do it. I don't need to convict you. God will. The Spirit will tell you when something's wrong, right? When you go to do something and the Spirit hits you and says, I wouldn't do that. Right? These people that say, oh, my conscience was talking to me. No, it's not conscience. It's God trying to get through to you to say, hey, wake up, smell the coffee. So why does God value friendship? Let me go back one. How well do you know your best friend? Can you describe their interests, identify their fears, name their favorite food? Are these things important to know? Why? I'm going to be totally honest. That man right there is my best friend. I don't know those things about him. Well, he likes shrimp, I can tell you that. What is it, a captain's platter or whatever it is on there? Seafood. Yeah, I won't. That and we like to go to Texas Roadhouse. I will say that too. But we need to know more about each other. We need to know more about each other. How am I going to help you in your struggles if I don't know what they are? Especially women aside, I'm sorry. Especially men, because you want to know what? We're emotionally constipated. We don't like to tell each other what's wrong. We don't like to admit our fault or our shortcomings or the struggles we're having. Why? Because we feel it's going to make us look less than we are. I'm sure Ken can speak into some of these because of counseling sessions he's having with men. We bottle it. We bottle it until it explodes. So why does God value friendship? How does it further His kingdom? Anybody care to venture? Why does He value friendship? You look through it, the Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation. Friendship. He values it because we're important to Him. And when we develop our relationships, it puts forth His relationship. Because when we get together and talk, what do we say? God has been graceful, and God did, and eventually these kids and these people that are with us, sideline maybe even, over here. My secretary is a perfect example of this because I talk to her all the time, and I'm always saying how good God is. And she had the question, and Pastor Keely, don't mean to upset, please. She had the question about why do people die? And I said to her, we don't have to. But you see, sin entered the world. And once sin enters your world, death entered the world. No one will live forever. This body will die. But I have this deep knowledge of knowing that where I'm going when I die. And I told her, I said, you don't have to worry about death. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen. And I'll tell you why. And I told her about Christ and how she could get past that. I'll say this again. I've said it before. How do you control a populace? Fear. You bring in fear. And if you don't believe that, all you got to do is look at Hitler, Mussolini. I can't remember the guy that was in Russia, but him. Stalin, thank you. They all used fear. And isn't it totally amazing and weird? What is the first thing they know? The Jews. Oh, we got to be afraid of them. You see, it happened in the Bible. Why did Pharaoh do what he did to the Israelites? Why? Fear. He felt they were going to become a great nation and overpower them. And they're still fighting that today. On a side note, are you praying for Israel? Pray for my people. Beyond playground pals, and we went over this a little bit, just touched on it. Mentors as friends. It's wonderful to have friends who are in the same class, went on the same trips as you, came to all the parties you had. But there are also friends that span majors, are there not? Some say that friendship is timeless, the age is just a number. I believe that. But there is a specific genre of relationship that develops when an older person engages with a younger one. I want you guys to get that because Lynn and I, over the years, have had the pleasure of having people in our home. And each time we had some, it didn't always go the best or great, but the one thing they could take away from it was our faith and how to handle certain things. You all know CJ, that comes to the church. She's a new mom. Had very little experience. Her being in our home gave us the opportunity to speak into her life. Not only about God and faith, but how to be a mom. Kids today are having kids. Kids are having kids with no experience. You want to know the best training you can have? Ask somebody who's been there. And you want to know the best training you can do? Go to that person that needs help. Don't judge. Help. That's the problem today. We're too fast to speak and not help. Our friendships only for kids. I struggled with that too because I had there's no such thing as best friends and all those things. And I struggled with that originally, but that's not. It's not. There is no age gap. There is no set number where you can't be friends anymore. I'm encouraging you, adults, us senior, I can call myself a senior citizen, by the way, because I am one. Us senior citizens, to reach out to the younger people. Reach out to them. You know, one of the things that's funny? When you see a kid at the store and they got a buck and it's $1.25 for whatever they want. But their card doesn't work, and now they're stuck. You give them a quarter? Or do you just let it happen? How about when you see a military person at the counter buying a cup of coffee? You ever buy him a cup of coffee? Simple acts open doors. You don't have to go buy him a brand new Mercedes. Sometimes it's just as simple as giving them a buck for a cup of coffee. To say, hey, I see you're in the military, so wasn't I. You mind if we have a little chat? Maybe we'll talk a little bit and buy you coffee. We want to put people in the seats. Can't do that if we don't make friends first. Because I'm going to tell you, and Billy Graham and all these other ones will tell you the same thing. The best people, the most accurate, and the ones that are going to stay with God the most, is those people you've developed a relationship with. I can reach somebody and lead them to Christ, but then what? If we just leave them there, guess what? They're going to fall away. You can't leave a babe and expect them to defend for themselves. Ruth 1:6-18. Ruth opts to remain with her mother-in-law rather than returning to her native home. And in the ensuing chapters, Naomi uses her cultural knowledge to coach Ruth and lead her to success. They help one another and ultimately serve as part of God's plan for salvation. Ruth had no reason to stay with Naomi. She couldn't give her another son, as Naomi herself said. I'm an old woman. Are you going to wait for my son to be of age if I had one? And I thought about that. That'd be quite the age difference, by the way. But the point was that she loved her so much and she stayed with her. Relationship. Friendship. Second Kings 2:1-18. Elijah sees Elijah's spirit and sees him taken to heaven. Like Ruth, Elijah refused to leave his mentor's side, but demands a portion of Elijah's spirit. And Elisha sees his mentor taken up in the fiery chariot. He knows that he will be able to follow Elijah's footsteps. Those are rather large to fill, but Elijah knows he is in for a challenge and is up to the task. Acts 16:1 through 5, we introduce Timothy. 1 Corinthians 4:14 through 17, Paul sends out Timothy. These were people that their relationships were friends, true friendship. Timothy meant a lot to Paul. In fact, he joined Paul in a lot of his work. And the many epistles are written from Paul and Timothy, servants of the Lord Christ. Paul clearly cared very much for the younger man and gave him plenty of aid and insight into how best to deal with the people and serve the church, for example, take the books of 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy. Traits that define a mentor friendship. These might look like you have greater knowledge or experience on one side of the friendship. Willingness to offer patient advice. Respect for elders' authority. By the way, that word respect for elders' authority is getting worse every day, isn't it? I like the military for one reason. We had a command structure. And one of the things it taught you is, I may not like you or what you're doing, but I respect you and your authority. We don't have that today. Hard to even find it in the church, isn't it? Mentors can span all sorts of ages. And I want to just kind of say that is, think about that. Marilyn can be a mentor to me, but so can one of Ken's kids. They might have something that they can say to me that's from God. Now, being taught correctly going is a different story. I mean, I know Ken and Danielle do. We have to go with humbleness. You're not going to go with fighting, or arguing, or meanness to somebody, are you not? You're not just going to do that. So I do want to ask one question before I go too much further. I'm almost done. What happens when you have a problem? What happens when two friends have strife? You see, there is a biblical answer to that. If I have aught against my brother, I need to go to that brother and let him know. Because 9 times out of 10, I find that when you have aught against somebody, it's your perception of what's happened. It is not their feeling. 9 times out of 10. So church, if somebody's offended you here, go to them and talk to them. If they don't hear you, take a brother. Go to them. They still don't hear you. Wait, the Bible keeps going, doesn't it? Have a meeting with the elders of the church. It does say that. It is not until you've expanded and extended all of those things that you can say, turn away. The group dynamic, I just want to, my last thing, and then I'll let y'all go. I was going to have a little demonstration here, but I didn't have enough time. How many people ever seen rope? I think everybody here should, right? If I were to take a single piece of clothesline rope, put it between two vehicles, and have both of them drive off, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. What happens is I start adding more and more rope to that strand. Eventually, I don't care how hard that truck pulls, it's not going to break. We as a team, as a group, as a circle of friends are stronger than we are singular, are we not? I think Christians are forgetting that in some ways. We're allowing a lot in this country to happen because we're afraid. But yet we outnumber every other group in the United States. Those claiming to be Christian. Friendships can often take place within groups of people due to common interests, shared space, or even work. Regardless, God brings groups together to share what they have alike and contribute things that might be different. Jesus demonstrates the importance of group relationship. He also demonstrates the greatest friendship of all. Who is in your inner circle of best friends? Who do you call with exciting news? Who do you send Christmas cards to? Who would you send a wedding invitation to? Who do you recognize in the grocery store? Think about the closeness of relationship. And can fade as numbers grow. Is that true? It can. But that having people who share a like interest or a goal can build camaraderie. It's military. Think about it. When you get a division or a group of men trained to be medics, there's a camaraderie. When I was in a unit in the military, if my sergeant had an issue, it affected the whole team. But if we had to take an objective, it wasn't just one man. We all went, and we all looked out for each other. I want that in this church today. I want us to look out for each other. If you have a problem that you know I'm good at, come to me, please. I have 32 years medical experience. I was a special forces medic. So I'm more than just a respiratory therapist. And here's the nice part. If I don't know, I can find out some of the best. And don't ever be afraid to say that to somebody. I don't know, but I'll find out. Don't be afraid to admit your weakness to each other. That's what we're here for. What you may be weak in, John might be strong in. But we'll never know that concept, folks, if we don't talk to each other. If we don't admit our faults. And I got to tell you honestly, I don't think any one of you here is perfect. Sorry. So I know you all got faults. The question is, are you too afraid to speak them? That I might think differently of you. You know what I'll think of you if you speak them to me? I'll think you're human. I'll think you need God just like I do. I'll think you wake up every morning putting your hands on just like I do. Think about the closeness of relationship fade. Oops, sorry. For the disciples, the common goal was learning from Jesus and following him more closely. After the ascension, the goal was building his church. Can we do that? Can we follow him more closely? Can we build his church? You see, the disciples weren't perfect. Peter denied him. Judas betrayed him. I think some of that had to do with the fact of fear. Judas, I don't believe ever really my personal thought. I don't think he really ever came to Christ like he should have. I don't think he ever did. I think he saw it as an opportunity. So where are your friendships? Are they an opportunity? Is it agape? Is it philo? Do you love like Christ loves? Here's a takeaway for you. The care and keeping of friends. I want you guys think about ways that you can develop friendships, quality friendships. Listening, having empathy, admitting faults, recognizing shortcomings, being present, and being willing to sacrifice for others. Do you have a friend that maybe you haven't talked to, or maybe you haven't acknowledged them the way you should? Take a minute. Send them a letter. Send them a text. I like letters better because I think they're more personal when you take the time to write it rather than type it. All the misspellings, all. I don't care. Whether or not you can identify a youth, I'm hoping that you guys will look in your lives and look for a youth to talk to. Look for somebody who needs Christ that's in your life. Mentor them. Talk to them. Develop a relationship. Don't hit them with the Bible first. Hit them with love first. Let them know it's okay to be not perfect. Let them know that you care about their future. I think Miss Marilyn can tell you sometimes feeding somebody is the best way to open a door. Sometimes giving somebody a coat. John, you talk about that. Just providing a warm coat, showing them you care. Sometimes it's overlooking the fact that something's dirty. If they did their best. I have to do that. Sometimes it's really hard. For everybody's been in the military, Mary Jo. It's really hard to overlook some things. But we have to. I don't care about your faults. I care about you. I love you for who you are. If I sat there and looked at faults, I would A, not have any friends, and B, probably not be here because I have too many to count. Right? So this week, I really want you to think about friendship. I really want you to look at your friends, who they are. Minister to the ones who need ministering to. Love unconditionally those who need love. Unconditional love means you don't judge them at all. It's okay to talk with them, mentor them, because as we're older people, we can look at them and say, hey, this is what I've been through in life. And this is where my life was going. And this is what happened after I found Christ. Because I gotta tell you, in the detox unit at work, one of the biggest things I hear most of the time is, it's just me. I'm all alone. So I bury myself in whatever it is they're building. They're trying to forget things. They're trying to not remember the hurts and pains of their lives. So we have the answer, do we not? Come to Christ. He can take away those pains. I want to thank you guys for coming. I love every one of you. I really do. And keep me in task. Next month, I go to take my, just give everybody else, I'm taking my credentialing exam. I asked John to give me about 3 weeks of time to settle things at home and then study. So I'm going to get my credentials, hopefully. So be praying for me. I'm not a test taker, I really not. I have a bad test taker. My wife will argue that point because she's, oh, you get straight A's. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm not stressing myself to death while I'm trying to do it. So, actually, Ms. Marilyn, would you mind closing us? I'll come to you, don't worry. Paul?
Father, we're so thankful for you. We're thankful, Jesus, that you shed your blood. That was French. That was true love. And Lord, even that thief that was on the cross with you, who said, remember me when you go before your Father. Lord, you didn't condemn him. You said, today you will be with me in paradise. And I pray, God, our hearts would be open to those who are lost. Jesus, our lives would be careful about things and how we criticize people, Lord. How we don't show love. And I pray we would just trust you, Jesus, to help us to do the right thing at the right time. We'd forget about our own selves, Lord, and put ourselves out for others. I pray for the youth of this community. Oh, God, in your name, help us to reach the young. Help us to reach those who are hurting. Oh, we thank you for that, and we praise you for it, Lord. And help us to be a friend that sticks closer than a brother. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.